Morning, Sonder fam. Welcome to our Saturday morning weekly setup. If I have not met you before, my name is Bailey. I will be your facilitator today, and I'm dialing in from just north of Nashville, Tennessee. If you're new here, welcome. Let us know. I know that myself and Maya, my fellow cohort here in the chat, would love to give you a big warm welcome, but also so would all of our returning Sonder fam members, of which I see many of you here. So welcome back to all of you. The way that this will work is we're going to kind of do a few opening activities together, and then we're going to dive into getting your weekly pages in your Silk and Sonder journal set up. We will be working out of the August journal, so if you're super new to Silk and Sonder and you're still waiting on that, no worries, don't panic. You're still welcome to hang out with us here, take notes, and then once the journal comes in, you'll have ideas and be ready to rock and roll. First things first, please make sure that your chat is set to everyone. That means making sure the little blue box above where you type in the chat says everyone. A lot of times it will default to hosts and panelists, and if you use that option, only myself and Maya will see what you're saying. And most of the time we feel like you want to talk to the group, so definitely set that to everyone so that you can talk to all of your fellow Sonder fam members, because that's one of the best parts about being here in a social is that you get to hang out with your community. And as we go through, if there's anything that you want to screenshot, or if you want to take photos of what you're doing in your journal, go for it. And we would love to see those photos in our app Sonder Club. Also, sorry, my brain just went, there was a thought went away. Aha, yes, this is recorded. That is the thought that went away. So this is recorded. So if you are like, dang, I meant to take a screenshot of this and I forgot, or what the heck did she say about this? The recording of this will be up usually within a couple hours now on YouTube, so you can go back and replay this anytime, including if you need to dip out early, if you showed up late, any of those things. So do want to mention that there is a new kind of exclusive Sonder Social with Mayha coming up. It is free. It's back to school, back to you. I think she usually, well, I don't want to say usually, but a lot of the time she'll do something like this around August, kind of for back to school, or if she doesn't, we do. And it's always a really nice reset, especially for those of you who your life is significantly impacted by the school year, whether you're in education or if you have family members that are going to school or family members that are involved in education. This is a nice little way to kind of restart, reset, and be fresh. So definitely consider going to that. It's on August 18th, and Maya is dropping that link in the chat if you want to go ahead and register. Here are our community guidelines. So first and foremost, please be kind and courteous to yourself and to others. No promotions or spam, please. We respect everyone's privacy here, and we do not allow any hate speech or bullying. If we did, we would not be a very nice community. So we definitely do not allow any of that. We ask that you limit repetitive product and accessory questions, but we don't mind a little bit of chatter around that. If there's anything that myself or Maya cannot assist with, we're going to redirect you to hello@silkandsonder.com. That is the team at headquarters. They should be able to help out with anything that we cannot help out with, because we don't have access to all of the things. That's part of respecting your privacy. And then finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, which is all of you. But you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So said another way, if you need to skip a prompt, skip it. If you need some support diving into a prompt, let us know. If you're having trouble framing something in a way that makes sense to you, let us know. Myself and Maya are here to help, but also you have a whole bunch of Sonder fam community here, and everybody has different perspectives and comes from different walks of life. So if you get stuck on something, let us know. There's a lot of people that are here to help and encourage. But also, if something hits in a way that feels crunchy, it doesn't feel good right now, you're not ready to dive into it, we support your decision to just skip that, hang out, jam out to the music, maybe flip to your coloring page, whatever the deal may be. And before you know it, we'll move on to something else. So we just want this time to be whatever you need it to be. If that's hanging out in the chat, if that's spending time in your journal, if it's a little bit of both, we're just happy that you're here. So it is August, and we have a new theme, which is velocity. So we will be doing our next part of the velocity mind map today. And then we're going to do a rosebud thorn reflection, thinking about last week before we dive into our weekly setup and start getting ready for the week ahead. So speaking of, oh, well, that's not right. Sorry. I left one of my little examples thrown in there, it looks like. Sometimes I put them up there and then I take like snippets of them and stuff. So forgot to delete that. My bad. But speaking of our theme, velocity, here it is. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit in the rosebud thorn section. But for me, this is a very ironic theme for the month because a couple days ago I woke up with like very debilitating vertigo for the first time in my life, and it has been a journey. It's still kind of going on, but it is now much more manageable, obviously, or I would not be here in front of you all today. So it's just a little ironic for me that our theme this month is velocity, and I'm like, actually, I would really like to feel like I'm still. I would like the moving and the wobbling and etc. to stop. But also velocity in general is a little hard for me. I'm somebody that definitely struggles with things like momentum and consistency and stuff like that. The way that my brain works and the things that kind of fulfill me or light me up and the way like my dopamine centers work, I don't really get a sense of fulfillment after I complete a task or make progress or anything like that. And like rewards don't really work for me, like if I try to like give myself a little treat. So themes like this can be tricky for somebody like me, and I know that some of you out there are the same as me. But per usual, I went to the definition of velocity that's here in our journals, and I think I found the answer in what works for myself. So the definition that we've been given here is velocity is the rate of motion, action, or progress in one's personal journey, measuring not just how fast, but how intentionally one moves forward in life. And to me, in my brain, that immediately translated to progress over perfection, right? Just moving forward a little bit every day. And sometimes moving forward looks like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? But you still went forward 1 step, right? So that's still making progress. And sometimes progress looks like setbacks. It looks like having momentum for several months and then getting vertigo or getting the flu or, you know, a major life change happening, and you have to kind of take a back seat to that goal. But that's okay, because I think that's where this word of intentionality comes in of like, okay, this thing has happened that's out of your control, right? And because of that, you've had to adjust your approach. You've had to adjust kind of what your focus is right now. But how are you keeping this intention front of mind when things reach a level where you can get back to your usual groove? Or if you don't feel like they are, asking, you know, if they don't, what can I do to reincorporate this? What can I do to get started? So sometimes I think momentum and velocity can be about just being intentional about planning for when you do have time, right? And just starting small and understanding that every little step is still counts, it still moves forward, and velocity doesn't have to be fast, and momentum doesn't have to be big. It can be this very slow, gradual thing that also looks like, you know, a little bit of this, right? Like forward and backwards and that sort of thing. So that's my perspective on it. If you're somebody that does really well with building momentum and setting goals and maybe reward centers and things like that, I love this for you, because this is going to be a very exciting theme, and a way for you to be a little bit intentional about those things that work for you. So regardless of what velocity feels like for you, definitely share with us in the chat today and throughout the month what your perspective is on this, because you never know what kind of like tip or trick that you have that might unlock something for somebody else. So with all of that said, we are now diving into our velocity mind map. If you're new here, this is something that's unique to our weekly socials, where we kind of have a special journal prompt around our theme of the month. So this is not pre-printed in the journal anywhere. You're going to want to, you know, flip to a blank page or a space somewhere in your journal where you'll want to do this. You can find a space for it each week, or you can just pick one page to do all the prompts on. That's what I do. I just put mine on the very back last page of the journal because it's just easy for me to flip to. So when we hear the word velocity, we often think of moving fast, accelerating, or rushing towards the finish line. But in our community, we are reframing it. True velocity isn't just about speed, it's about direction and momentum. It's about how intentionally we're moving forward or toward the things that fill our cups and how swiftly we choose to pivot away from what drains us. So, focusing in on one single powerful thing this week in our map, we are focusing on number 2, the accelerator. So velocity requires fuel. Let's map out the single highest vibe trigger available to you right now. Write down the one micro habit or action that instantly elevates your mood and shifts your pace in under 5 minutes. Now, if you missed week 1, it's over there. You can do it or you can skip it. It does not matter. You can come back to it later, but it is there if you need it. But we are on week 2, the accelerator. So here's my mind map. For the first time ever, I tried to do something cute with my mind map page with my arrows and stuff. And I think it actually worked out. I was a little nervous about not having enough space, but so far it's been okay. So this is asking us again, single highest vibe trigger or a micro habit or action that instantly elevates your mood and shifts your pace in under 5 minutes. So this could be a mood booster, as it says. Maybe it's something you think of as an energy giver, something that recharges your batteries. It could be something that you consider to be self-care. Thinking back to our theme of flow a couple of months ago, maybe it's a flow activity for you. It could be rest. Rest is important. It's required. It's needed. You must do it. It is not earned. It is literally a requirement of being a human. So it could be some form of rest or resets or refreshing or recharging. So there's those as kind of like reframing of maybe helping you brainstorm what that thing could be. And then here are some other fun things that I found, just a little graphic with some mood boosters. And also Silk and Sonder on Instagram had this easy mid-year habits for the mind, body, and soul a little bit ago. It looks like it was in July based on that journal graphic there. But I thought that some of this might also help to spark your memory about what works for you. So for me, my real answer was coffee. And I said in my answer that that probably wasn't the like quote unquote correct answer. Because there's probably better resets than like a caffeine boost. But I mean, it's true for me. Like, I just find comfort in the flavor of coffee. It feels like a reset for me. It's definitely something I do every day, and it kind of it's like a pause and like a stop and a restart. And it obviously happens very quickly. I think my brain is just kind of used to like, okay, yes, coffee. Now we're starting our day. And it's definitely a mood booster for me. But I said the other answer, which probably is healthier than a caffeine boost, is getting outside, whether it's biking, walking, sitting, any of it. If it's outside, it's definitely a nice refresh for me. So I will hop back and forth between all of these things, and then I will put on some music for all of you. Definitely let us know in the chat what those highest vibe triggers are, because again, you may unlock something for somebody and not even know it. And then we'll come back and move on to our next thing. Thank you all for spending some time answering our mind map and sharing all of those great little refreshers and resets in the chat. I saw I wasn't the only one that said coffee, so thank you. That makes me feel that makes me feel less guilty about being like, well, I mean, really, it's coffee. Which really there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think we're just like made to feel sometimes like our answer should be something different, but like, who cares? Be yourself. You're awesome. So, anywho. We are now going to hop into our rose bud thorn exercise. And this week we are on page 36 for that. Almost at 38. Forgot to go backwards. 36 for that in our journals. So you can flip there and we will get into this prompt together. So a rose, of course, is something that went well, maybe something that made you smile. Sometimes the rose is literally just that the week is over. I thought these little things in the center here, this is another graphic from the Silk and Sonder Instagram. I thought those were fun for like summer, like maybe it will spark something for you if you're having trouble finding a rose this week. Maybe it will make you think of something. And then a bud is what could bloom, something you're looking forward to, what gives you hope, motivation, and inspiration right now. If you struggle with a bud, you could also consider thinking of it as like a seed instead, like maybe something you're planting and working towards, something that you want to grow, that you're hoping to work on. Or maybe it is a gardener, somebody that has helped you this week that is helping you feel hopeful and supported, right? And then for a thorn, it is what didn't go so well this week. What could you use some support and encouragement on? Because we all have those little things, big or small, that happen throughout a 7-day period that we could use some support on. So I like to do mine in reverse, and no surprise, my thorn this week is the horrible vertigo that I woke up with Tuesday morning. If you've never experienced this, I hope that you never do. It was very interesting waking up on Tuesday and not being able to sit up straight and having the world spin around me. Thankfully, it's gotten better every day, and no day was quite as bad as Tuesday. And I'm supposed to start physical therapy on Monday. So hopefully some of this can be fixed. Janine, I think that that's what they think it is. So I hope you're right. I hope that it can be fixed quickly. Because yeah, it's really interesting, and I'm not getting frustrated at all. Getting very frustrated. That's okay. If this is the worst thing that happens this week, I guess I can't really complain. There are a lot of worse things that could happen. So that is my thorn. And then my bud is that we were able to book a trip for December with some friends of ours that we met on vacation in January. So that's exciting for me. I'm excited to see them again and hang out, and I'm glad we were able to make it work. But also, just to be vulnerable with all of you because I can. I was never really like the girl in school that made friends easily. I was always like a little bit of like a, you know, I just didn't connect with people my own age super easily. So it's still like a new thing for me to meet people and then them want to hang out with me like so soon after, to the point that we're planning vacations together. It's exciting and it's new and it's different for me. So if that's you and you also struggled like that, one, you're not alone. Two, your people are out there. And then my rose is just the support for my husband. I mean, he really stepped up like crazy this week with everything I had going on. He took me to all the doctor's appointments. He took me to work. He's done everything. And I don't know what I would have done without him. So definitely very, very thankful and grateful to have him for sure. So that's my rose, bud, and thorn. I'm going to put on some music so that you all can think about your last 7 days. And if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat what those are for you, we would love to see them. This is probably my favorite thing we do in the weekly setup because it just lets us get a little glimpse into what's going on in each other's lives. And so often we all are celebrating or struggling with some of the same things. Thank you all for sharing in the chat. If you're still sharing, don't worry. Keep typing, hit enter, send it, share it. You definitely do not have to stop just because we're moving on. Like I said, this is one of my favorite parts about the weekly setup. So definitely continue to share. But we are going to go ahead and get into our main event, which is our weekly setup. And we are on pages 40 and 41 this week. So with that said, before you flip over to 40 and 41 and before you dive in and start picking out all of your things, maybe just take a second and look back on last week. Take a little pause, give it a little review if you haven't had a chance to yet, and just very quickly ask yourself what's working, what's not. Don't make it complicated. Don't, spend too much time. Just quick glance, what worked for me, what didn't. If everything worked, great. Maybe you can continue to do some version of that this week. If everything didn't work, okay, we're going to have some ideas for you. Maybe you can switch it up. But hopefully this will help you feel a little bit more in the zone about maybe where you want to experiment or maybe where you want to keep things the same. Also, ask yourself, is this week ahead a typical week for you, or is it a different week in terms of your normal routine and schedule? Do you need a special setup? For example, this person was going on vacation, so they did a totally different setup to prepare them for vacation, to get excited. Obviously, there's a ton of stickers over a lot of the spots because they didn't need those spots because they're on vacation. So if you've got something different and out of the norm from your usual happening this week, you might need to do something different and out of the norm for your weekly setup. Also, Silk and Sonder has been putting out these cool little calendars so far for the last couple months for our different themes. You can find them on Instagram. So they have done a 31 days of velocity calendar. And if you are doing that or interested in doing that, we are here in the calendar. Feel free to grab a screenshot of this, or again, if you're on Instagram, you can find it on the Silk and Sonder Instagram. You can also come back to this recording later and take a look at it if you need to as well. And then this is my setup. These are my pages. And I thought that I would kind of really quickly show you all actually the order I go in for my setup, because the order I do my setup in is very different from the order that we go through in the social. And so I wanted to kind of show you all what that looks like for me, and also so that you could consider if maybe you need to set things up in a different order that will work better for your brain. So for example, we usually start with how I want to feel, but that's not where I start with my setup. I start my setup here with my weekly to-dos, because I need to understand what the heck is going on in my week before I can even move forward. And then I hop over here to the meal plan section because I repurpose that for my work meetings. And so I need both of those to kind of understand what's going on with my week. Then I write out my big to-do list, which this is all the stuff that it's like lingering larger projects and things that I do not plan to do this week, but if I don't write them down and keep up with them, I will forget that they're there. And then if I do have an opportunity to work on them, I won't, because I will forget that they're there. So I do all three of those things to kind of help me understand, hey, this is what my week is going to look like. These are the things that I'm still looking for opportunities to maybe find a window to work on. This is where we're at. Then the last week or so, I started doing this in the habits and activities section. So looking at those things, I'm like, okay, what time must I go to bed? I'm trying to, well, I was trying to get into bike riding. Obviously, that hasn't been happening the last week with the vertigo. Neither has the treadmill or the walking. But I have been trying to get that more regularly. And so I was starting to carve out like, okay, what are my days where like I don't have as much going on, where I may have more time to do a bike ride after work, or I don't have to go to bed as soon, right? So maybe I can do some of these other things. So I kind of carved those spaces out. If I have something to do with Silk and Sonder, whether it's a social or I'm hosting or I need to prep for one, carving out the best times for that. And then also putting a few ideas of like, what are we doing for dinner? Are we going out? What's going on? So I'm kind of doing a little mini schedule there in the habits and activities section. Then it's time for like a brain reset, right? Did all my productivity things. So now I go over into the Mind Body Health Plan and I do my little quote corner because I have repurposed this to a space where I just reflect on the quote there at the top. So it kind of gets me into the journaling mood. And then I go to my Silk and Sonder coach to get the affirmations for myself for the week and write those down. And then I tell myself what I want to cultivate this week. Because for me, in the how I want to feel section, I always reference my word of the year, which is cultivate. And so after looking at all of that and figuring out where I'm at, what I need to do, what my capacity is, and then giving myself a little bit of time for reflection, that's when I know what I want to call in for the week. So this is how I set up my journal, which again is very different from how we kind of go through it typically in the setup. So if you need to go in a different order, again, this is recorded. Don't feel like you have to go in the order we're going in. You can always replay it later, or you can just hang out in the chat and get ideas and then go in whatever order makes sense for you. But while I end with how I want to feel, we are going to start with how I want to feel. So at the top right of your page 40, we are looking at that section. And for some of you, this is how you start your journal. You need to know how you want to feel as you move through the week, what feeling you want to call in, and then you use everything in front of you to help ground that feeling in. And I love that. And if that's working for you, you shouldn't change it. You should keep doing it. So here are some different words and ideas that are there up on the screen. And then here are some different ideas that came from all of you in Sonder Club. So I will put on a quick song for you all. Let us know how you're using this section, if you are setting it up first thing, if you come back to it later. And it can be a feeling, it can be a quote, it can be stickers, whatever you want this space to be for you. Let us know how you're tackling it, and then we'll move on to our next section. All right. We are now going to hop down to the center of the page here. So the weekly to-dos, weekly major 3 goals. So you already saw mine. I used my to-do space as like, this is where my appointments are. This is what's going on. And then on my to-do, my weekly major 3 goals, I put affirmations because that's what works for me. I used to try to put goals there. Didn't really do anything for me. Like we talked about at the beginning, my brain does goals differently. So didn't help me. If it helps you, do it. But for me, affirmations work better here. But you can kind of combine these spaces if you need to and make them work together, or you can keep them completely separate. You could skip one of these sections if you don't need it, just take what you need. Or you could kind of connect your major 3 to your to-dos and even take it down into your habits and activities. You can flip-flop the goals and to-dos because some people like to have the grid lines for their to-do list. And then I like the example in the bottom right where they're like picking 3 clear kind of categories in the to-dos, and then they've partnered them up with like a little bingo over there on the goals. But again, you don't have to pair everything together. Do whatever works for you. So, slice and dice, keep it separate, mishmash together, whatever works. I saw somebody at the beginning of the social said they used the Pomodoro technique either today or this week to do some office cleanup, I think you said. So the Pomodoro technique is there front and center. I will always show you guys that in the Eisenhower decision matrix. because I think both of them are really helpful for trying to like pare down to-do lists and get things done if you're struggling with that. You can also decide to switch this up a little bit and be like, you know what? I'm not focusing on productivity traditionally. I'm going to focus on me and productivity within myself. So thinking about velocity and thinking about that progress over perfection and trying to build momentum in yourself and your self growth. So instead of to-dos, you could think about a to-be list or a need, want, hope list. Or maybe you're somebody that does better as to-dos. So you write things down as you get them done instead of scratching off to-dos. And if you've never tried anything different in this space, maybe try it. See how it feels. It's just 1 week. So if it doesn't work, do something different next week. You can do bingos in these spaces. You can focus on specific routines. If you want to put a sticker, put a sticker. If it makes you smile, it's doing something. So I say stick the stickers. You could use these spaces for some reflection. Over on the major three, a lot of folks will pick like very different areas of focus rather than specific things. I like the little grid of professional, wife, mom, and personal. Again, you can support how you want to feel, or you could try to lean into our monthly theme of velocity. You can put affirmations or other self-care here, or pick actual goals, commitments, accountability things. And again, don't be afraid to switch it up or repurpose if needed. If you have, you know, something special going on this week, if life looks different this week than it normally does, lean into that. Try some different things. If you're going on vacation, make it fun, right? Like give yourself a space to just enjoy. So I will hop back through all of these examples for you all and put on some music, and then we'll move into our next sections together. All right, we're gonna hop down to the habits and activity section. Now, our mind map this week asked us to find that like high vibe, quick, activity or like refresh thing that works for us. So think about that as you're setting up this space. If there's something you need to incorporate in this area that was like an aha moment for you today. So I already kind of explained how I've changed this into almost like a little schedule section. I've only been doing this for about 2 or 3 weeks, so it's still in the experimental phase, but so far I really like it. So we'll see how it goes. And I also love this little reminder here of the different ways that progress can look, which was exactly what we talked about at the beginning with velocity as our goal. Here are some other ways you can kind of set up this section. As always, you can set goals for how often you want to do a specific habit or activity. If you're somebody that likes setting that clear goal works for you and helps you build that velocity, do it. Or you could decide to just track things as they happen. So using this more as like a tracker than a goal setter, which is also good. The data of you is very important and good data. You can fill in every line that is here or just use a few. You could track how much of something you do or track how often you're not doing something if you're trying to break a habit. Like me, you could use this for like scheduling and routines or a specific area of focus. If you're somebody that rewards work for you, do it. Give yourself a little reward at the finish line here, like the example in the top left. You can plan for specific days. And if you are planning for specific days and there's a lot of, one type of activity, whether it's physical or mental or social, please make sure that you're also giving yourself time to rest because again, rest is not earned. It is a requirement for being human. So make sure you are giving yourself space for that. I also like these little ways to romanticize your life this summer. Maybe you can incorporate some of that because summer is still here for a little while longer. So try to savor it while we can. And here's some other ways that you might want to reframe this. Use it for connection, use it for progress in your journal, on your other pages. You can track engagement with the life coach if you're using Hilk and Saunders Life Coach, or focus more on like activities over habits. So I'll hop back through these for you all and then once again put on some music for you, and then we'll move into our next section. All right, we're gonna flip our page over to page 41, starting with the section titled Meal Plans. If you are somebody that having a meal plan works for you, then you should use this as intended. Make a meal plan. Or if you're somebody that needs to track what you're eating, this is a really easy way to repurpose this section. However, this does get repurposed a lot just because the format of this like Monday, Tuesday, etc. through the week boxes is really great for a lot of things. It also takes up a lot of real estate in your journal each and every week. So it does get repurposed for a lot of things. For me, it gets repurposed for my work meetings. But you can see where folks have used it as intended. There actually used to be like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack printed in the journal. And then they took that away because they realized so many people were using this for so many different things that they wanted to make repurpose a little bit easier if it needed to be. Some folks will do affirmations here. Some folks are doing quotes. You can do, if you do like a daily reading, maybe writing your favorite quote from your reading in there. You could focus on the 7 types of rest, use this as a schedule. I like the person that kind of divided this into 2 quadrants of like fruits and veggies and then yoga and stretch. They're kind of tracking that every day. You can carve out some space for some reflection. And then I know that we have our member that has, I believe it's their husband who like is drawing like the little pictures for them, which I think is super cute. But I also know a lot of you are creative and are doing your own pictures in here. And I love doodles. If you have known me for a while through Silk and Sonder, you know that I love, love, love doodles. I adore them. So if you are a doodler and want to use that space for that, please do so. I would love to see your doodles. So, anywho, I will once again hop back through these slides for you, put on a song, and then we will hop into our next section together. All right, we're heading to the right side of our page, taking a look at the Mind Body Health Plan and also the shopping list section. So I shared earlier that the Mind Body Health Plan becomes a little quote corner for me to reflect on the quote that's there at the top right corner every week. And then my shopping list becomes my big to-do list full of all of the sort of lingering large projects that I hope to accomplish at some point in life, so that I don't forget about them. But you can, of course, use these spaces as intended. Use your mind body health plan to focus on self-care, to focus on, whatever it is that you need, whether it's like mental clarity and refresh, if you need to think about movement to support your physical health, if you need to dive into some of those flow activities that give you some time to yourself to like refresh and recharge, you can plan out those things there. Likewise, you can use the shopping list as an actual shopping list. I used to do that because it would actually help me with impulse buying. Because if I wrote it down, I knew I wouldn't forget about it. And so then I didn't feel the need to buy it right away. But there's all sorts of ways that you can use these little grids, and they're both roughly about the same size. So I see people use them kind of in interchangeable ways. You could decide to put quotes here, use it as a packing list if you're going on a trip. If you do anything fun like Wordle or Word of the Day, you could put this here. I've also seen a couple of you use this as like an anti-shopping list, like no Amazon, no Target, no online spending, right? Reminders to kind of like stay on budget or whatever your goals are. You can do mini bingo boards here for self-care or focusing on our theme for the month. I always love the little washi tape scrap section there because I think it's a fun little kind of like, what's it called? Not like avant-garde, but one of you will help me. The art. What is it called? Anyways, I love it. But Also, you could focus on the 7 types of rest. Remember, with 7 types of rest, the goal isn't to like, yes, thank you, Nicole, abstract. Ugh, my brain was not accessing that word. um, so with the 7 types of rest, the goal is to not check off each one, but think about, are you getting recharge in this various space where you're using your energies? So you could put some focus into that in one of these spaces. And then again, more examples of how to use this. I like the I feel and I need chart. It's a good way to check in with yourself and also be a little bit intentional about maybe making sure you get what you need out of the week ahead. So you know the drill. I'm going to put on some music. I'll go back through, and then if you can believe it, it'll be time for us to close out our time together. It always flies by. Cannot explain it. Time works differently in Sonder Socials. All right, my friends, if you can believe it, that is going to bring us to the end. As we close out together, there is one more little spot there in the bottom right of your journal that is the I'm loving section. So I know some of you like to wait until the end of the week to fill that out, and if that's the case, that is totally fine. But if you don't mind sharing with us something that you are loving right now in this moment or in general, we would love to see that as we close out our time together. Thank you all so much for being here today with yourself, with your community, and spending this time getting you ready and grounded for the week ahead. If you'd like to share your pages in the Sonder Club app, we would love to see them. And also, selfishly, we would love to pull some of your pages for examples for future socials. So if you don't mind sharing, we would love to see those and potentially use them. Maya is also throwing that link in the chat for the back to school kind of reset that Mayhat is doing. Again, it is free, so feel free to sign up. And also if you have friends that you think this would be beneficial for them, even if they aren't a part of the Silk and Sonder community yet, they are welcome at that event. If you haven't tried the personalized coaching yet, I mentioned that I use it in my setup every week, and I really feel like they have improved it so much over the last like couple of months. It's crazy. So I've really been enjoying it even more so lately. I will share the link to all of my playlists in the chat. I just have these big, giant master playlists that I pull from, and you're welcome to pull from them too. Make your own playlist, hang out and jam with them, whatever feels right for you. But thank you again so much for being here. It is definitely a great way to start the day, a great way to start the week, to spend time with all of you. I know Maya and I will be happily starting our Saturdays having spent this time together. So until next time, be good to each other, and we'll see you all in Sonder Club. Bye.
Can't keep my hands to myself.